Hello, very good evening to you. Welcome to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Selom Adunu. On What the Papers Are Saying, we bring to you the headlines the newspapers have put out. We analyze the headlines and provide you some insight and leave you better informed than you joined in. Tonight on the show, as always, we will bring you some of the most topical headlines for the week. We have 4 of them this evening. We will go through them, analyze them, and provide you some insights. I'll take a short break. When I return, I will introduce my topics, show you what the headlines have said in the week and are still saying, introduce my guests, and then we'll get a discussion underway. This is What the Papers Are Saying. We'll be right back.
We are gearing up for the trip of a lifetime. Heritage Caravan 2026. From 1st to 8th March 2026, 8 days, 14 regions, 1 legendary caravan. We're touring Ghana in the most spectacular way on the Heritage Caravan, exploring the beauty, history, and stories that make our nation unique. Rolling out from Greater Accra through Eastern and OT, up north to the Northern and Upper East, and all the way to the Western region, hitting iconic destinations across Ghana. The Heritage Caravan 2026 will be fun, educative, refreshing, and most of all, remarkable. Stay connected. Follow Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM across all social media platforms for updates, and join the conversation using the hashtag Heritage Caravan 2026. The Heritage Caravan 2026 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from City FM.
And it's proudly sponsored by Holland Insurance, Piva Beverages, Omni Basic Bank, Caveman Watches, Gino, Gigi Shito, Goyle, Mini Achumo, Admi Granite Paste, and the Ghana Tourism Authority, and supported by Names Rice.
Heritage Caravan 2026, experience Ghana like never before.
Hi, you're welcome back. This is What the Papers Are Saying, and a number of the headlines we have for you. First, we're looking at 4 topics. First one is with the indiscipline we've seen recently in schools. About 4 or 5 schools have been engaged in one act of indiscipline or the other in the last 2 months, and we are asking whether indeed there is a decline in indiscipline and what the cause of this is, if that is the case. Also, the president speaks to the nation tomorrow. His sessional address is tomorrow, and we want to look at the State of the Nation address scorecard. What did he say last year? What did he do about the things he said? And what do we expect him to say tomorrow? Also, we will look at the subject of the no bed syndrome, but this time around there's been some response. A probe is ongoing. 4 medical staff have been interdicted, 2 doctors and 2 nurses, we understand. What should happen from here? Should we just keep quiet and allow the process to go on? And what happens after the process goes on? This is not the first time we've had no bed syndrome. 2018, a 70-year or so man died. There was a committee set up, reports were issued, etc. Here we are in 2026. A similar thing has happened again. What should be our attitude towards matters like this? Also, drug seizures surge. If you follow the news, you realize that a number of busts or seizures have occurred in respect of cannabis or drugs. We see police people arresting vehicles packed with cannabis or substances suspected to be weed, etc.? Is it a case that the security agencies are now more vigilant and so they are arresting many of these, or it is the case that there is indeed a surge in the practice? We will look at all of them. Now let's see the headlines. The Archives says, produce deviant students within 24 hours, CID boss says. And CID boss tells Swedru School of Business headmaster to produce deviant students within 24 hours. Metrolens, CID boss orders headmaster to produce Swebusco students within 24 hours. The Ghanaian Point, police arrest 6 Agri Memorial SHS students over brutal attack on Adisco students. CityNewsroom.com, 2 Swebus students remanded over Obrachure assault. The next subject, State of the Nation Address Scorecard, performance or promise versus performance. GraphicOnline.com, President Mahama set to deliver second State of the Nation address on February 27. MyJoyOnline.com, Abu Jinapo urges President Mahama to tackle youth joblessness, cost of living in SONA. CityNewsroom.com, SONA 2026, account for 42 billion city education spending, EduWatch to Mahama. Look at the test subject, hospital response probe. Daily Guide, Parliament proposes emergency care law. Parliament proposes emergency care law. Daily Graphic, nobody looked. Family of hit and run victim grieves. The Herald, Kolebu hides identity of 4 interdicted staff as police and Ridge Hospital keep cruel silence on hit and run deaths. ChannelOneNewsOnline.com, Kolebu interdicts 2 doctors, 2 nurses over hit and run case. And our final story, drug seizures surge, success story or warning sign. The GhanaianTimes.com, police intercepts 2 trucks loaded with 152 bales of dry leaf suspected to be narcotic. MyJoyOnline.com, Oti Region Police bust suspected drug truck, seize over 7,000 marijuana parcels. CityNewsroom.com, 2 arrested with 209 slabs of suspected narcotics. Police reject 100,000 Ghana cedi bribe. Now, these are what the papers are saying. We will be hearing from our guests very soon. But as always, the show is live and interactive. You can join us via our WhatsApp line 020-444-7033. And that is displayed on your screen. And we'll be happy to share your views with the rest of the world. If you have a view on any of the matters we'll be discussing tonight, kindly feel free and send us a WhatsApp message to join the discussion. I take a short break. I'll return, introduce my guest, and then we'll get a discussion underway. Don't go away. All right. Yeah, welcome back. This is what the papers are saying. My guest tonight, Vera Abena Ado, Programs Officer with the Center for Democratic Development, CDD. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sami Wiafe, my own brother and friend with CTFM and Channel 1 Television. Sami,
hi,
welcome.
Sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. So we have a number of issues we're looking at. I'll start off with you, Vera.
Okay.
We want to start with the discipline in decline, the matter of schools and clashes and all of that have come to characterize what we see recently. Now we have a number of schools in this month or last month alone, a number of schools. Sokode Senior High School, Kimbu versus ATTC, KTI versus Anglican Senior High School, Salaga SHS Islamic Senior High School, a number of schools, Agri Memorial Disco, a number of schools we've seen have been engaged in some clashes. People think that it is a matter that should engage our attention. Indiscipline in schools is falling, etc. What's your take on that? Is it a case that indiscipline is declining, or you think it's one of those things which happen periodically or every now and then, and so we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves in terms of how we want to deal with it?
I think we need to pay attention, and I agree with those who say we need to pay attention to it, because this is not the first time, like you said. Even within this month, we've seen. A few months ago, there was one in Ashanti region where they were at the national, at the sports stadium, that they destroyed some things. It's been happening, and there have been reports. I know African Education Watch has done some work around it. So for me, I think we need to really take a serious interest in this. Have maybe commission some investigation into this and look at the trend. What's the root cause? So that it's not
trend,
just...
But we know what I mean, when it happens, we know. So, for example, schools, students go to intercore, as we call it. There's some altercation, competition, etc. And they fight. The other side goes to remobilize, and then they come back to hit back. You know, we see the trend. We've all been to school. We've seen how it works.
Where colleagues beating, like what is happening now. Now it's gotten to a different level. And looking at some of the videos and how the students were acting, most of the time, those times in school, we were just probably will insult each other, have some songs or music crafted or created for the other side, but to get into that position and how students were beaten, for me it was scary to watch that young people could get that aggressive and do that. And so I think we really need to have some investigations into it, and that numbers have also gone up. You know, remember that during our time, even me, if I'm saying during our time, the numbers, due to the free SHS, we have gotten to hear that the numbers have really gone up, and so there's even a double track. So it means that managing students at that level, when there's chaos, then it requires some...
So we don't have enough hands to deal with the students, to discipline them, to show them what to do and what not to do. So they live and grow on their own, and they do things on their own. Is that it?
The numbers, some teachers have actually complained. If you look at the classes and how much, and that stage, you know, at that stage in their... So much energy, they're formative, they are aggressive, they are curious, they want to do things, and that is when attention is needed to really look at the discipline and how we can control them. And when they come together, even in the schools, it's difficult to control them. So imagine an intercore. This is an event that you have almost all the schools in their various region, or if it's a district, or if it's a zonal. So the numbers are huge. And this is when students feel like we are free to go out and express ourselves. And so for some students, it will probably be the first time they are coming out of school, that they will not have that restrictions. You have to go to the classroom at this time, you have to go back to your room, dining. Those bell doesn't work at that time, and so some young people will think that they have to do what they have to do. But I think we have to pay attention, because the trend is worrying. Teachers are being beaten, and like this is
school
getting...
properties are being
school
vandalized,
properties are being vandalized. We have seen students express themselves maybe when they have an issue, but for students to think that we want to beat our colleague students to that extent, it's scary. For me, I think we really need to look at this, because it's really causing a lot of security issues for us as a nation, that our young people think that this is the way to go, or to express themselves when they disagree with a colleague. So yes, let's really look at it and not just resolve the issue case by case, because the trend keep going on. We have the school numbers have increased. How do we ensure that when students are out in their numbers, what is the protocol for ensuring security and safety? most of the time we don't have even security agencies. The cadets, the school cadets, and they are all, we ensure that we provide security for ourselves. But can we still continue like that? Do we need to ensure that there's some things that the schools will follow? I think the schools need to really look at. We need some regulation. We need to have some proper investigation. It's been happening, and we know. We think we know, but until there's a proper investigation as to why would a student be beaten to that level. Like sometimes you think about it. Is it just thinking that?
But sometimes it's not the students. They deal with the town folks. One of them, I mean, they dealt with the town folks, and Asafo people also came. So it was a full-blown fight. And even there was some. One of the schools, I think the Salaga one also, the students, it became a tribal thing between one community and the other, and they fought in the school, you know. But let me go to something.
But just a quick one on the community. Communities are there to support schools, and most of the time when there are no water, there's nothing in the school, or that we have an issue, it is the media community that will assist. And how communities really support schools, and their happy schools are closer to them.
Give their lands for the schools to be built.
So imagine students, there's something missing that we really need to have a second look at it, and why this is happening. Is it some clique students are forming in the various schools who are doing this, or what really is just triggering this? I think we need to have some proper investigation into this and look at some solutions into it. I don't think we should just solve it case by case. I think there should be. We should be.
So do we really need investigation into why students are misbehaving? Don't we know the issues already? What should we be doing about this?
Well, we know the issues already, and it has to do with indiscipline, and the 9 factors in discipline, and because of the corporal punishment that has been withdrawn from the schools, you could say it may be a factor in causing all this. Because so I remember when you were in school, the headmaster could come in and lash you if you do something bad, even in the assembly. But now we're told that it's not happening in secondary schools.
But is it not a reflection of how society has become? If you take your child to school and some teacher lash the child, you appear in the school and be unhappy.
During our time, when the teacher lashes you, your parents even go there, join the teacher.
So it's not a reflection of society. Society has now grown to abhor such punishments.
As the influence from elsewhere that is causing all this. And it's about time we look at it in a different way and look at the African setting and the African discipline.
But the African child is indisciplined? Is that what you're alluding to?
It looks like.
The African child is indisciplined?
It looks like. Really? Because of influence from elsewhere. When you and I were going to school, we are even afraid of our teachers. Who dare you touch your teacher? But now we see videos of students attacking their teachers for even correcting them in examination halls. In our time,
stopping them from cheating.
You know, in our time, who dare you? When we see the teacher coming, you are afraid, you are running away. But now what do we see? But then this violence thing that we are seeing now, it won't be new, because in our time it was there. These attacks were there, but because of technology, that's how we are seeing the increased numbers as we are seeing, because of smartphones. Because when you look at the videos all over the place, the viral videos, you realize that they were mobile phone videos. During our time, we didn't have this era of technology. And so even if it happened, there were no records of it. It was just written somewhere. But then now, because we have the videos to go with it, people are now getting to have the attention for it. But it's been done already. I went to a boys' school. I went to Bishop Emma. During Interco, you see Pantec and Pasek and Bishop Emma boys always fighting. But it ended there. You know, there was no video for you to see how violent
it is. Destroy school buses.
It destroyed school buses. Normally, the students are identified, they are punished, they are asked to read acres of land, you know, as punishment. And it was a way of stopping it. But now, we are not seeing those things.
So your point is that it's not necessarily a surge. It's because now we report them.
We report
technology,
them. Yes.
Etc. So we see them in the numbers.
In the numbers as we are seeing.
So, for example, if it happened in Salaga a number of years ago, we wouldn't have heard it in Accra.
No.
We wouldn't have seen videos.
No. Because of the terror advancement that we have now. In that time, the media was even not as many as we have it now. We only had the GTV and a few of them who really come and show it at 7 o'clock. That one, it's not everybody.
So you don't agree that there's been an increase in indiscipline generally amongst the young people, and that is what is causing the brazen nature of these attacks on themselves?
So I agree there's general indiscipline in our senior high schools, But I disagree when people say this is a new trend. It is not. It's been there already.
But now about 6 or 7 occurrences.
But now, because the media is reporting about it by the help of technology, that is why there's attention.
About 6 or 7 of these instances in 2 months, and you want us to treat that as normal. That is not, of course, schools fighting among themselves will not be a new thing. It's been there since. But we're talking about the frequency. About 7 instances or even more in 2 months. That is a cause for worry.
It is a cause for worry, but I also maintain my point that it's been there already. It's not new. It's been there, but because of technological advancement, that is why we are seeing the increasing space of it. But then again, we must bring a solution to it. We must bring it to a close. Indiscipline, as you mentioned, is one, and then I feel the current generation of students, is it Jay-Z's, or I don't know how people may want to call them, because even about 2 days ago at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, even when there was military presence and police presence, we still have students fighting. Even the presence of the security, and we were told that the security was brought there to ensure that we don't record violence acts. Even in their presence, we still have students doing them. So I blame the schools, I blame the society, I blame the settings now that we have in African society. How are we raising our kids? Is it because of negative influence, social media, technology, and the rest that is making our students behave the way they are? We need to reset and look at how we raise our children now. Because even in this generation, this is what we're recording. In the few generations to come, it may get worse. It may get worse.
Let's see a video of one of those instances in one of the schools, and then we'll come back and continue the discussion.
The tears thrown at me when I was looking for a place to sit, so that I'll use the medicine on my eye. That's what happened. Happened unexpectedly. Didn't do anything. I was just standing there, and they started throwing the stone. I wasn't looking. When I turned, I saw my colleagues running, but I didn't know what was happening. So by the time I realized, the stone came to hit me. I didn't do anything to them. I want them to be arrested and anything that the government wants to do to them.
Well, so that's an incident in the students attacking their colleague for what we are not sure of. But even no matter what the colleague might have done to them, this is not the way to deal with it. There's a reason why the authorities in school, teachers, etc., house masters, house mistresses, even prefects are in school to help deal with some of these matters. That's quite a sad one there. Do you agree that because we've taken things like corporal punishment, etc., away from schools, as in taking those, I call them authority, from the hands of teachers, it emboldens school children to be indisciplined and do what they want? Do you agree to that?
I disagree.
You disagree? Oh, you don't think that you have to lash children to get them to behave well?
No, I disagree.
Really?
Maybe so.
The rod is important.
As the Bible says.
I disagree. We still had those times. We still had students who received the lashes, but still turn out to be what they.
Yeah, but the frequency, the numbers. I mean, it's of course we feared our teachers and we feared the kids.
That's where I wanted to get to. The fear. Why do we have to fear our teachers? You see, it's a learning institution, but we also want to help the children grow. Why did we stop the corporal punishment? And he said reset. Maybe if we have to reset, we really need to go back and look at why did we do that. And this time, every generation is different. The Gen Zs are different. We were different. Generation was also different. They have a different way of seeing things and looking at things. That is why I still stand by the fact that we need to really look into how do we deal with the numbers at school and how we need to ensure that these students understand what needs to be done, their own code of conduct at that level. We can't just introduce, I don't think we can just say, oh, let's introduce corporal punishment and that will solve the situation. I totally disagree. We need to look at how do we resolve it? How can we ensure that students understand that it is not right for you to do what you do to your colleague? Like, why must you do this? You know, so there's a way we need to treat this, and it requires that we have educational specialists. I know there are a number of education specialists who know this very well. We need all of them to come on board. The ministry have to take this serious. GES needs to also take this matter serious and look at maybe having some approach and standards and protocol when students have to come together. Because now they are thinking about, I heard that they are suspending the sports, which I think temporary, which is okay, but you know, these young people have a lot of energy. We have a lot of energy. They need to burn the energy.
And colleges thing also serves a purpose.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
Exactly.
And all of that. So we're taking that off temporarily.
Yes. So I don't think we need to have a holistic approach to this, not just let's stop it, we are not sure when they are going to get back, and it's not just this region, the other regions, it starts from the various zones, the districts, regional, and then they do a national. This is where we get talent from, and it's incredible that sometimes you see so much talent and then we are not able to translate. Let's allow sports helps children to develop very well, and it's opportunity for them to express themselves. So for me, I think that we really need to look into it again. Other places, if I used to look at other countries, do not have corporal punishment. The things happen, but how do they do it? Children grow differently, and every generation is different, and we do not have to fear our teachers to
No, the fear is not like you run. If you're doing something bad, that's when you fear.
No, but,
so let me take this. Somebody says that the fear, Awuku says that the fear to commit offense has declined due to abolishing of caning in schools. Corporal punishment is talking about. This one says, as for the indiscipline in our school, we should allow the punishment by staff to continue. We didn't die when we were punished and beaten in school back then. This
there are different ways of punishing students, and even when you go to the schools, even though they are not caning them, you see the corporal.
You let them write lines.
No, I think they have done. Students have been asked to either sweep or weed, or some have even gone on suspension. Some have been sacked from schools. So because there's not that there are no corporal punishment, students are not being punished. There are different ways students are being punished, and they have to understand the consequences. And you know, in our education system, sometimes it worries me that when at that stage, when students are being dismissed, it's difficult for them to continue the education. It takes a lot of effort from parents to be able to get students in again. I've seen students, if they are sacked, if they are it's difficult to get in again. So for me, there are different ways. Yes.
You don't sack them, or you sack them?
Well, it depends on the situation. I do not support the sacking, but there are some situations that they want to use it to set an example. I'm not an education specialist here, but that's why I think we really need to have a second look.
The Children's Act deals with what we call the welfare principle. I mean, every decision around the child must have the child's interest.
Right.
So if you sack the child, I mean, they are
in the
young.
best interest of the child. Everything should be in the best interest.
It's not in the best interest of the child to sack the child, right? Because, like you're saying, it becomes difficult for them to get a school. And, you know, children are stupid, quote unquote, while they are young. When they are growing, they grow out of it. We've all been children. So a child behaves stupidly, and of course it creates problems, and you sack him. Later he grows out of it, but he's not been able to go back to school because of that. You've damaged him for life.
Yes.
You know, so that's also a difficulty.
Yes, that's the difficulty I have with the way our structure is. And so maybe, just maybe, let's look into this a bit more into it, and look at some solutions with the student inclusion. Like, let's involve the students. I'm sure the students will tell you why this happened and what can be done. So involving the student, parents, teachers, the ministry, or the educational specialists we have. I think President Mahama commissioned did the education forum. They had, I'm not sure, I've seen the reports was out there, but if it's something that they did not think about, maybe there's a need to go back to it and look into it. We really need to have a second look. I don't think corporal punishment is a solution. It's just a reaction to what we think should happen, but deeper than that is to look at how well do we want to bring our children up in the schools. These are their formative stages that we really need to look at a much broader, not just academics, but their extra activities that they do in the school that shapes their life. So I really think that it's important to look at resetting all this and having a much broader perspective into this.
I see.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but I'm sorry, but if we don't get them disciplined, how do they become the people we want them to become
We can
in the
discipline
other
them.
in the other disciplines that you talk about.
Right.
So if the book doesn't help them,
Yeah.
they may want to be musicians. If they are not disciplined, can they be musicians? If they are not disciplined, can they be footballers, professional footballers? If they are not disciplined, can they go to other field? Every field counts with discipline. And so with these formative years, if they are not disciplined, how would they be disciplined in the other disciplines that they choose for themselves if the book doesn't work?
But Sammy,
and so
the
for me, I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's reset and look at the punishment again. We all went through. It made us better. It made us
Not everyone.
better. It made us better. Even if not everyone, majority of us.
Are we not pushing too much onto the students? I mean,
Yeah.
the function of discipline should not be isolated. What is the role of the teachers? So, for example, we are saying that we have so many students in the school. The students' numbers have increased way more than how the teachers' numbers, have increased. Shouldn't we be thinking about increasing the number of teachers per capita or per a certain number of students, so that I don't have 5,000 students and you have just 50 teachers? They can't do much. In the night, if the students in the school want to go on rampage, the teachers will run for their lives, So shouldn't we be looking
we've
at
seen some. The teachers
like
had to run for their lives.
So,
Yeah.
and let's say going out for interco, shouldn't you have some protocols? Maybe teachers must go with them, or this number of teachers must accompany this number of students going out, and these are the things we expect.
So
when we come back and this happens, this is what we will do.
Just 2 days ago, Baba Yara Sports Stadium, there are armed police personnel there, but yet we recorded violence there. Yet we still recorded. I agree with you when you said that we should get a number of teachers to help, but we have a number of teachers here who've been demonstrating that the government is yet to employ them. What about those ones? The teachers are there, they are willing, but yet we don't have the means to employ them to help augment the large numbers as Vera is saying. And so if indeed that can be the solution or one of the solutions, then let's adopt
Do
it.
the parents have a role?
They do.
What role do the parents
When
have?
the kids
beside their
vacate,
children.
when the kids vacate, they go home. And kids learn a lot from parents.
So what should parents be telling the kids? Are parents failing the kids? A lot of parents wake up early morning, go to work, come back very late, and all of us in the
I
world
agree.
are culpable of that.
Parents are, and I'm a parent, and
Are you failing your kids?
I may be guilty in this way because in the mornings,
Here you are.
yeah, I am. I close at 10 p.m. I get home around 11 p.m. By the time I get home,
The kids are asleep.
They are asleep. So they spend more time with their mom than their dad. But then again, the African child is always afraid of his dad than his mom. But then when he gets to spend more time with the mom, the father seems to have little influence on them. And so you want to blame the economic empowerment on one of these things. I feel African parents are also failing in this direction. They are also failing in this direction. We should have a rethink about this whole thing. Raising a family in Africa, especially with these economic challenges, is not an easy thing. You leave home by 6, but you come back around 10 p.m. What time do you get to spend with your kids? The only time you may want to do that is the weekend. The weekend too, you have to go and do overtime.
More of your messages coming through. Mr. Brown, I think the use of cane should be reintroduced in all the schools. I don't agree with Vera. Spare the rod and spoil the child. This is what is happening. This one says, currently with the free SHS, there is very little incentive to study. Imagine schooling with no repetition, or like don't repeat you.
Yeah.
You hear that? Yes.
Yeah.
When one fails, wholesale promotion, all because there is no money to sustain them. This one says, good evening, Salam. Students were empowered some years back when teachers rather were punished by government and fully supported by human rights advocates for correcting students. That's the fruit of those policies, you say. This one from Augustine in Pig Farm says, let's not blame the students. Some months ago, we saw our parliamentarians fighting each other. That resulted in broken chairs, and nothing has been done about it. And the students have been watching all of these. So to me personally, let's blame our leaders. I'm Douglas Archer, a teacher at Bensu Senior High Technical School. I would suggest there should be a thorough investigation into why students misbehave. GES must provide enough security men, particularly the police, during inter-schools or sporting activities. Douglas, I mean, Sami just said Babaya, there were police and code there, but the students did what they had to do. Well, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll move to the next matter. Tomorrow, President Mahama delivers the State of the Nation address. Mahama 2.2, right? State of the Nation, promises versus performance. Don't go, we'll be right back.
As part of Heritage Month 2026, we bring you the On-Air series, Our Culture, Our Story, Our Identity. In week 1, the sound of our identity.
A great one from the legend himself, Charles Kojofosu.
In week 2, Our Past, Our Power.
So the African Personalities idea, first and foremost, started somewhere in the 1890s by a movement called Gonfanti Movement.
In week 3, Faces of the Nation. In week 4, What We Eat, Who We Are.
A typical Fanti palm nut soup is a United Nation soup. Yes, a United Nation soup. So you have fish in there. I will not make palm nut soup unless I have periwinkle.
The Heritage On-Air series 2026, Our Culture, Our Story, Our Identity will air every Monday to Thursday on 97.3 CDFM at 9 a.m. and on Channel 1 TV at 10 a.m. The Heritage On-Air series 2026 is proudly sponsored by GTP and GCB Bank.
I'll start with you. All right, welcome back. This is what the papers are saying. My name is Salom Adonu. My guest on the program tonight, Vera Abena Ado, program officer with the CDD, and Samiri Afi with CTFM Channel 1 Television. We just looked at the issue of indiscipline in schools. There have been a number of clashes among students at various events, some within intra-school, others inter-schools, and even sometimes with their communities. And we just try to look at what the cause was and whether the matter should be investigated or whether we should bring back some old things like lashing the kids, etc. It's a debate that will continue for a while. Now, President John Dramani Mahama will deliver his second State of the Nation address tomorrow in his second term as President of the Republic. Last year, a number of things were promised, or he said a number of things, and we want to look at what the scorecard is. He talked about turning the economy around. Economic recovery was a major plank of his address last year. He talked about creating jobs. Have the jobs been delivered? He talked about improving quality education. We just spoke about education. Has the quality of education improved? He said he was going to restore the Parent-Teacher Association and also provide scholarship to needy students. Have we seen any improvement on those fronts? Healthcare, introducing the free primary healthcare program and the Mahama Care for treating non-communicable diseases, and the big push. A number of things he said. What is your scorecard? How do you rate the president's performance? You know, he promised, has he delivered? Where do you think he fell short? Where do you think he did better? And where do you think he can, where do you think he did well? And where do you think he can do better? I'll start off with you, Vera. You are in the governance and democracy space. The president's address last year, what stood out for you? And what has he done well with, and what hasn't he done well with?
Oh, that's tough. I was hoping you would give us some.
Okay, so maybe let's start with it. Let's start with the economy then. Economy is key. He spent a lot of time on the economy, and rightly so, because of the background. You know where we're coming from. The economy was in shambles. Economy wasn't good. Economy was a major matter in the election, etc. He promised economic recovery, and it does appear that indicators are looking north. Inflation is down to record low. Interest rates are down. Exchange rate is stable. Quite a number of things are looking in the right direction. The people in the previous government say you should credit us for putting in place the building blocks, and you're now reaping whatever it is. Mahama is the one with the credit now.
Okay.
Let's start with the economy.
So just last week, CDD Ghana did an assessment. We called it the 1-year assessment of President Mahama. We assess about 6 areas. We look at democracy, governance, human rights issues. We looked at anti-corruption, accountability. We looked at economy and the job. We looked at environment, social issues. We looked at foreign and regional integration issues, and also security, defense and security, and then peace building. So this 6 like broad areas. We had an assessment. What was promised, if I can say, what was promised in the NDC manifesto, what was in the 120-day social contract, and what has been done so far. So it's quite a comprehensive assessment, which is on CDD Ghana websites and other socials that individuals who want deeper reflections could also look into it. Yes, there have been, well, I can say generally, if we want to start with the economy, the general outlook is good. We can see sometimes what we know, the economists have a way of interpreting things, but what we know is that the exchange rates, inflation figures are coming down, purchasing power and all of that. So I think that on the general outlook, things seems to be a bit settling in, and we keep saying Ato is forcing because we think that things are being done. A lot of concerns have been raised about how to sustain this and the need for a much more transparency from the government on their figures, on the numbers. They need to ensure that this is not just something that government will say something, then opposition will raise things, and sometimes we are not even sure what is the real picture of what is happening in the economy. We have raised concerns about some of the issues that President mentioned in terms of good governance. We saw currently I think the Constitutional Review Committee has submitted a report, and a lot of reforms, conversation that was suggested in the social contract, that was in the manifesto. Also, even in the NPP manifesto, if they had won, most of the things have been captured in the Constitutional Review. So my issue is that I don't think the President and the committee has published the full report yet, and I don't know where it is. We don't have any clear direction as to what we want to do with some of these key reforms that we want to champion. This is a legacy of President Mahama.
And the Constitutional Review.
The Constitutional Review
I think it's with an
report.
implementation committee. So
is there implementation committee?
Yeah, I think they formed an implementation committee that received the report.
Is it something which was publicly mentioned?
We can check. Yes, but I
we
think
have.
so.
Yeah, I don't think when the report was submitted, this was something that came about. We haven't heard from President Mahama on the clear action plan. What do we have to do? There are a number of the recommendations that will require referendum, a number of them that will go through Parliament. What is the action plan? What are the timelines? And this is for me. This is President Mahama's legacy, and I'm hoping that we'll get some clear action from it going forward. Also on ORA, I think that there are a lot of high expectations on anti-corruption that we need to see some.
Have you been impressed with how they are dealing with the oral matters? Did you expect swifter results or swifter action than we are seeing? Bearing in mind that the wheels of justice, they say, grind slowly. And that, the due process takes time.
Yes. Yeah, I agree, and I agree with due process, and it takes time. But the impression, the expectations were high that we need to see some action, and everybody is calling for. We are going into the 2024 election. In fact, anti-corruption investigation was one of the main things that the NDC campaigned on. So for us, or for me also, the expectation is that some actions must be taken.
So the actions, shouldn't those actions go through due process?
It should.
So do you want a situation where people are just bundled and thrown into jail without the due process? And if we are talking about due process, then shouldn't we be educating the public that these things take time? There may be an allegation that could go viral, but when you sit down to drill down, it may not be as it was. The person has a right
the AG has given us a picture of it, that it takes some time, and he will not go to court if he doesn't have full
concrete evidence.
Yes, concrete evidence. But again, we think that the issues have slowed down a bit. The AG, I'm sure he has other things that he has to take care of. But if we really are serious about anti-corruption in Ghana, we've seen the the perception index, the Afrobarometer data, the CPI, it kept declining. And we have seen a number of government appointees who have raised concerns about some issues in their various sector. We have to put a stop to, we have to deter people from doing the wrong thing.
Are there any expectations you have of this tomorrow's State of the Nation?
Yes, I have a lot of expectations. One, I've already mentioned. I am expecting President Mahama to give us a clear direction, timelines on the constitutional review, because a lot of work has been done. This is the third time we are trying to review the constitution, and this is President Mahama's time and legacy to make sure that we see some action on that. I'm also hoping that President Mahama will tell us something about the Galamsey issue, our environment, our water bodies. I don't think we are. I've seen some action by NIMOS. I'm not sure what we have got into. How is the water situation? Who is tracking the research agenda? I think we need to have some data on how the research agenda
how the research is playing out. Sami, Galamsey is a key issue. Job creation. Recently, I heard 1 million jobs have been created. People are disputing the figures. Maybe we need better and better particular. But if 1 million jobs have been created in 1 year, then that surely should be good. What are your expectations for tomorrow, and what promises were made that you were tracking that you've not seen or you've seen?
For the promises on the economic front, at least he promised inflation. Inflation has come down to I think 3.5 or so, 0.8%. Even though a lot of people say it's artificial, at least from what the government statistician has said, that's what we are doing. He promised macro and macroeconomic stability, which is
why should it be artificial? In fact, we're actually expecting prices to drop, and we are not seeing this.
We are not seeing
we are not seeing this inflation. So the rate of increase is just slowing. We've not seen a reversal. It's not negative. So we're actually expecting prices to drop, and some prices are dropping. So it should not be artificial.
That's what a lot of people have said. I remember when I interviewed Dr. I forgot the name on Eyewitness, he said that this can be sustained. He makes the point that government is pumping in, a lot of foreign currency, which is the dollar. That is why we are getting the results that we are getting. Although he questioned the sustainability of this move. But as to whether it's artificial, it's unsustainable, that's what the books is telling us. That's what the government statistician is telling us. So you give credit to the government on it. The president promised macro and macroeconomic stability. We are seeing them. The government also promised to build, a number of things, including recently the finance minister was in parliament, I think a day or two ago, to announce the new government's ambitious policy of building some reserve that would take us close to 15 months of import cover. Even though how ambitious it is, I think it's a good policy. It comes on the back of the instability within the world markets and the frequency that we are seeing. And so if we build our own buffers here at home, even when there's instability on the world market, we'll still have something to cushion on. We'll still have something to mitigate the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. And so for me, that's a good policy. But for what I'm looking at tomorrow is the government has been a bit silent on Galamsey, which is going on seriously across the country. After the presentation by the finance minister, where he said we're going to buy these gold from this the small scale miners, and then you ask, these small scale miners are the Galamseyers?
No, Galamseyers are illegal miners.
So whether illegal,
legal.
Small scale, is Galamsey equals to Galamsey.
Really?
Equals to Galamsey. No one can convince me about it. Equals Galamsey. Now, if government is buying more gold reserve from these artisanal gold, whatever they call it, or small scale miners, why are they getting them? From these Galamseyers.
Shouldn't you rather be advocating responsible small scale mining?
We've done that over the years, hasn't been?
Yeah, we need to emphasize.
We have done that since we started a fight in 2017 when Akufo-Addo said he was going to put his administration on the line. Where are we now? We are in a worse state. And the expectation was that this government was going to end it or even do something about it, because they campaign majorly on Galamsey. What are we seeing? I think the drive, the fight, the energy, even though NIMOS is doing something good, I feel it's not enough. NIMOS goes in to go and do an operation. When they leave, the Galamseyers go back to go and continue the operation. And so how are we really dealing with this matter? For me, I've always said that Galamsey has come to stay.
I see.
It's not going anywhere.
So Galamsey for you is a big matter. You're expecting to see.
And I expect government to address the recent cocoa crisis that we are seeing. Even though they said they started paying some of the farmers. We've not heard the farmers come out to say that they received the money yet.
But have we heard them come to say they are not being paid? You know, Ghana, if you get money, you don't talk. If you get money, you don't talk. If the money doesn't come, you talk. So have they come to say they are not being paid?
We're expecting government to address that issue, and we also need to hear from the farmers if indeed these monies have hit their accounts.
Very well.
So that we will stop these agitations that we're hearing.
Very well. Let's sneak in this one. Hospital response probe. The Nobel syndrome, very bad thing, happened some time back. Happened in 2018 also. It's happening now. No serious policy changes have occurred. 2018 there was a report, but then recommendations obviously, but it's happened again. How do we approach this? I mean, 2 people have been interdicted. Parliament is proposing an emergency care law. Will a law fix this? Is it not attitudinal? Don't we have enough laws to punish those whose job it is to take care of people? The policies are there. The protocols are there. When an emergency case comes, don't turn the case away. Try and stabilize the case before you refer. We don't do that. In the night, we let the people go and they die. What should we be doing? In a minute.
We need to enforce the laws. What you have, you mentioned that we already have some laws. If the additional laws will also support the process, well, it may not spoil anything to have.
Ghana, we like passing laws. If something happens, we want to pass
then we want to pass law. I think it's worrying. You know, we need to be serious about our health care. In fact, when I was coming, I was having a conversation with a friend. I'm like, most of our politicians, majority of our politicians, our key leaders are older persons who require medical care, and surprisingly we don't seem to work around it. And then a friend said, you in this country, you better pray not to get sick, because the situation is really worse, and we have seen how things happen. I think I like the minister's response. We have seen a bit of seriousness, and the parliamentarians were also frank with the issue. I followed the conversation in Parliament, and you realize that they really want to do something about it. An MP shared his own experiences and the discrimination at the hospitals, that when they know who you are, then they can get bed for you. So really, it's a complex situation, but we have to really fix our education.
Because for me, yes, there'll be issues with infrastructure, etc. But the protocols are that when an emergency case comes, don't turn the case away. Stabilize the situation, and then work on a referral. That's the way to go.
And that is human. That is human.
And in the night, we see a lot of these nurses on TikTok and things. I mean, and it happens in the night. I don't know why it's always happening in the night. And if it's always happening in the night, why don't we beef up the staffing in the night? Why don't we think around it?
You said they're on their phones, so it means that it's not even a staffing issue, right? It could be that there are people there, but they just. And is it also because that there are no bed, they can't fit a bed, or
even in this case, the ambulance guy says no, just deal with the thing in the car,
and then they refuse.
You know, so it's terrible.
I think the ambulance service also has issues. They said they want to do some training so that they will be able to provide some first aid we need to do that. I am for years, if we are now thinking about first aid, it's worrying. I just think that this should really be a turn up.
The death of the gentleman should create some should cause some changes.
Should cause some change.
Sammy, Nobel syndrome.
Are we not just talking about it because it happened recently? Let's give ourselves a
and I mean the sad part is that this gentleman's sister is a doctor, emergency doctor.
Oh, I'm just hearing.
Yes, in the Western region, and
Dr. Matilda Elisa.
She says she takes care of people very well, but nobody even looked at his brother, and that was very heartbreaking.
That's heartbreaking.
Let's give ourselves 6 months. We'll go back to something else will happen, and then we'll talk about it. I'm not being pessimistic about it, but that is the reality.
When he says we should pass an emergency care law, maybe that will bring.
How many laws don't we have? In 2018, when it happened to the 70-year-old man, we were even told that he was taken to a hospital which he invested in. He was sent back in that same hospital. Caleb Koda broke that story for us. How many years ago? We are still having the same conversation. Let's give ourselves some few months. We'll come back to square zero. But then we only say that may he rest in peace. Tomorrow on Friday, God willing, his final funeral rites will be held for him. And there's a hope and expectation that it will change. But honestly, if we want to change this thing, let's listen to what Professor Titus Bello said in Parliament. He gave an excellent solution to deal with this matter. If we should go by what he said, I'm sure you're able to deal with this matter.
But he is in authority. He's an MP. He's board chair of Korle Bu Teaching
He's just
Hospital.
a board chair and a member of Parliament. How influential is he?
No, member of Parliament, you are influential. You can. There's a private member's legislation these days. He's a board chair of Korle Bu, board chair of the premium teaching hospital.
And he's taking action in Korle Bu where there'll be some intervention in a small way.
So he can do something.
In a small way, he's done something. But the broader picture, he's not a policy implementer.
He trains medical
He's
students.
not a policy implementer. He's only offered.
No, he's a policy implementer. He's board chair of
He passes the law, and then the ministers are supposed to implement.
He passes the
those
law.
policies.
He goes to Korle Bu to
For him,
implement the laws.
he said a solution. What can be done, including training the ambulance personnel to be able to infuse IV and the rest to stabilize the victims.
Can I charge?
Few seconds.
Can I charge that the media will help us to follow this through? I know when the media is interested in something, we get it.
And we need civil society also nudging us.
Yes,
so that's important.
We know the Galamsey issue has been on because the media and civil society have kept it on. So we shouldn't just let this die like Yafi is saying. But I think
we'll do our part. We'll do our part.
Very
we need to hold government accountable.
Very well.
We need to track this. Yeah, we
Very
have to.
All right, let me just take a few messages and we go. Sir, it's very sad when you go to some hospitals with emergency cases. They said no bed. The gentleman who was knocked down will be buried tomorrow, God willing. Burial will be held at Adenta Methodist Church at 7 a.m. Cardinal government should punish some people about this case. Nicholas now from Nadoli says, in all the president has done well, even though we still expect more to be done. The problem of Ghana is the over-politicization of policies and programs that could change our economic fortune. He must be forthright in his decision making and believe he will succeed. Good evening, sir. My expectation for tomorrow's Sona is that I want the president talking more about unemployment situations in the country, how more jobs can be created to help tackle unemployment in the country, because unemployment is a national security threat and it should be handled properly. Thank you. Well, that's how we conclude today's edition of the program. My guest, Vera Abena Ado, first time on the show and want to see her more. She's a programs officer at the CDD. Vera, great having you on the show. And Sami Wiafi with Channel 1 Television and CTFM. My name is Solomon Adonu. Have a good evening.
Welcome, my dear friends. This is Lifeline, where psychology meets theology to deal with life's complex situations. One of the things about life is that you will have challenges, you will have pressure. Jesus, in preparing his disciples for life, said to them in John 16:33, he said, "In me you have peace, but in the world you will have trouble." Jesus himself talking, he says, this world is full of trouble. If you have lived as long as I have, then you will know that trouble is not totally avoidable. But when you are prepared, when you are empowered, you will be able to go through the valley of the shadow of death and come out to sit by the table. You are most welcome. Something interesting, educative, and empowering today. A quick break, and when we come back, I will introduce my guest and what we are talking about today. Welcome back. 64% of living people experience difficulties in setting boundaries. Research also says 72% feel guilty after they have successfully set their boundaries. It is very important that you learn to set boundaries in order to be functional in life, to live a productive life and a good life in 2026. We want to learn today how to set boundaries without feeling guilty. And today we are so blessed to have a very wonderful guest. For me, she is one of the finest counseling psychologists in Ghana, if not the finest. She is a psychologist, an educator, astute academic, and a wonderful person. Professor Hannah E. Akwei, you are most welcome.
Thank you very much, Bishop.
We are so glad to have you help us talk about this all-important topic, setting boundaries. Prof, what are boundaries and how important are they to our productivity in life?
Boundaries are like invisible walls that is not meant to keep somebody out, but it's like it ends with you, so walls that show where you end and where I begin.
Okay.
Or where I end and you begin. Because if those ones are not there, I will walk and bump into you. So those are like invisible things. And they are necessary because we are individual people within a community. We are not fused. If we were fused, it would be hard to separate us. You have your uniqueness, I have my uniqueness. You have your preferences, I have my preferences. You have your strengths, I have my strengths. And so if we don't find a way to differentiate that while finding ways of also bringing our strengths together to be a wholesome community, that's where the struggles come in.
So then I can reflect safely by saying that setting boundaries is living as an individual in a society or a community, not losing your individual identity, keeping your identity as an individual and functioning well in the society. Prof, I have realized that setting boundaries, sometimes on the street we say saying no. Can you juxtapose the two and then go a bit into them for us?
Setting boundaries is beyond saying no.
Okay.
We are a collectivist society, and so if we are not if you are not careful, we'll think, oh, somebody is an extension of me. I will give you a few stories to explain that. When I was a kid, I grew up in a small community. There was this lady who I think wanted people to inform her before coming to her house. I grew up with my parents having like an open house, so anybody in the community who was hungry would just come by, eat and go away. And for my parents, I think that was okay. This lady would insist that, hey, let me know before you come to my house. And so the community people, I was a kid, but I still remember it. Why? Because she went to America a little and she came back, she thinks she's better than everybody. All the person wanted was to say, let me know so I can plan for you. And in Ghana, when you set boundaries, it comes across as you are different, you are difficult, you don't want to be like us. I remember a professor friend of mine decided that she didn't want to give her phone number to students. And so she would give her email to them, but every first day of class, she would teach them how to set up emails, how to write professionally and all that, and let students know, oh, this is how I want you to communicate with me. It became a huge deal on campus. Like, she's some way, she's difficult. So students will cuss her out, professors will cuss her out. But eventually, students will later come by and say, oh, I appreciated what you taught me. And so what the Professor Friend said was, I was willing to live with the immediate discomfort of creating those boundaries because I knew that invariably it would benefit me as well as my students. And I think there's a problem in Ghana because of the discomfort. We want to be part of the bigger community, even to our detriment. And so we struggle to say, oh, this one doesn't work for me today. I may come back tomorrow to figure out if it does. So it's not necessarily saying no to you. Sometimes it's yes, absolute no. There are times it could be, can I think on it a bit? And the society doesn't allow us effectively to do that. Yeah.
Wow. So then, that will be one of the reasons it's very difficult to set boundaries.
Yes.
Can we think about other reasons? Because the data available, or if you read the literature around, will tell you that indeed people find it difficult. I came across a data that says 62% of people find it difficult.
It's possible it's more.
And then over 70% feel guilty after they have struggled to set their boundaries. Why is that?
Because we are human. We want to be liked. We want to feel like we are pleasing everybody, but you can't. So let's assume we are friends. We are going somewhere. Hannah, walk with me to this place. And I go like, oh no. Your immediate reaction is, oh, just that reaction makes me feel like, oh, maybe okay, then I should say yes. But it was probably other things came in to make it such that I had to say no. But that tug at the desire to be part of a team makes it really hard to find these boundaries, which actually are healthier for us.
Prof, you said in your submission, you gave an example of a friend professor who decided to set boundaries and said that he or she is willing to cope with the immediate discomfort for the ultimate good. It was going to benefit him or her at the end of the day. Let's go into this deeper. Talk to us about how to deal with the immediate discomfort because of the ultimate benefit. Please talk to us.
Maybe because I have had therapy for long, there are things I can label easily. What I discover with clients is the whole thing of, no, it's not acceptable in my home. But it also, you need what we call differentiation to grow. Without, I do a little gardening in my house. When I cut my plantain, I have to uproot the tree that bore the fruit and take it away and make sure that there is enough space for the others to grow. So there are some of them that look like, oh, this is good, but I have to take them away so that the few ones can grow well. And I think boundaries is like that too. So if we learn to teach people that, hey, it's actually healthy for you and you are okay saying no. So far as you stick to it, you have genuine reasons. You don't have to give up your you for somebody else, because when you do that, that's abusive. Because again, that one leads into burnout, because there's that festering underneath it of saying, I'm so tired, but I can't say I'm tired. I'm exhausted, but I can't say I'm exhausted. They are pulling me. They want me to attend every funeral. I really don't want to go, but if I don't go, maybe there's a benefit to it that they will deny you of. And we know how to guilt people into doing what we want, but it's not healthy because it leads to serious burnout. And some people have been committed to a psychiatric hospital because of their inability to say no.
So, at all cost, whatever the cost is, we have to learn to set boundaries. And like they say on the street, we have to learn to say no. You have taught us that setting boundaries goes beyond saying no. So I understand that it's a bit technical. we need to, it's like a skill that we have to learn. I have discovered something in Africa, Prof, that because of the extended family system, people find it difficult rising. Okay, we are 5 in a family. I am employed. I get 200 Ghana. I share it.
How do you
so we stay at the same level for a very long time. Whereas if I learn to set boundaries, financial boundaries, I can do savings, investments, help the next person who can rise to my level, help the next person. So looking at our society, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with our society, but what I'm saying is that there are things we can do to thrive in that system. Prof, it's very dicey. Looking at what you said from the beginning, that you need to be an individual in a group. Don't lose yourself in the group. So then it makes me understand that in your marriage, you need to set boundaries.
Yes.
In your friendships, you need to set boundaries. Even at the workplace, you need to set boundaries. Prof, help us. How do I set boundaries in a home, in my marriage, the woman I am joined together with? That will be a very difficult task. But how do I do that? First of all, in my marriage, in my friendships, and in my workplace, how do I set boundaries?
It's dicey because we have a culture that doesn't allow that. I had a client, well, it was a couple, and the guy is ebullient. He's all at the life of a party. He's out there. Everybody loves him. And the wife is very conservative. And so the wife recharges by herself. The man recharges by people. And it was so hard. They had just had 2 kids. It was so hard that anytime the woman wanted to go to the bathroom, the man would follow with talking. And she struggled to say, no, I just need some peace of mind. And she realized that the kids were doing the same. And so in therapy, we explored that. And I had to put boundaries there. I said, anytime she goes to the bathroom, don't, because if you follow her, then the kids feel like, mommy, mommy, mommy. So she always feels like, it starts emotionally. And if you're not careful, within a short time, that's where divorce communications come in, and doesn't need to be. And so the gentleman was like, I really appreciated his maturity. He's like, oh, I didn't think about, okay, no wonder when we do this. And so they will have like weekends alone because the kids could go to the grandparents, and the agreement was he wants to be with his friends. So go, leave her in the hotel room. Then when you come back in the evening, she's recharged enough that she can engage with you, spend time with you, you go out. So they try that, and the marriage is really thriving. And so that's something that can happen in marriage, but you have to have 2 mature individuals to recognize that your personality is different from mine. I recharge differently from the way you recharge. So how can you help me thrive so we can come together to flourish as one? Because the 2 shall be one. But in that oneness, there's still differences that we have to identify and recognize. So that's family. In friendships, friendships are a choice. It's not like family where you can say I didn't have a choice, but I think people should choose their friends, and it's not everybody who has to be your friend. So I have friends who know that when it's raining, I'll go outside and play. So when they are talking with me and it starts raining, they know I'm going to stop the conversation. That's how healthy friendships should be. There are friends who know that, okay, we have like once a quarter outing, and when it's 8:30, Hannah will start yawning because she sleeps early, or somebody else stays up late, so they will stay up till midnight, and then before they go and sleep. I sleep early, I wake up early. So these are, I call them just respect for our differences, because I'm bringing something to the table, you're also bringing something, but I'm different. But you love me, so how can you love me in a way that allows me to grow to the best of my ability, without you using your own desires to shut me down or keep me under, you know.
It is getting so interesting, but we need to take a break. Prof is still here. Don't go away, don't touch the remote control. We will be right back to give you wonderful tools and effective skills to live life better.
As part of Heritage Month 2026, we bring you the On-Air series, Our Culture, Our Story, Our Identity. In week 1, the sound of our identity.
A great one from the legend himself, Charles Kojofosu.
In week 2, Our Past, Our Power.
So the African Personalities idea, first and foremost, started somewhere in the 1890s by a movement called Gonfanti Movement.
In week 3, Faces of the Nation. In week 4, What We Eat, Who We Are.
A typical Fanti palm nut soup is a United Nation soup. Yes, a United Nation soup. So you have fish in there. I will not make palm nut soup unless I have periwinkle.
The Heritage On-Air Series 2026, Our Culture, Our Story, Our Identity will air every Monday to Thursday on 97.3 CDFM at 9 a.m. and on Channel 1 TV at 10 a.m. The Heritage On-Air Series 2026 is proudly sponsored by GTP and GCB Bank.
Welcome back. Professor Hannah Akwe has been helping us to talk and think about how to set boundaries. We have established the fact that it is necessary to set boundaries. Most times we feel guilty when we set boundaries. Why do we feel guilty? You need to. Because when you set boundaries, you become more productive. The same people who will complain, the same people who will feel sad and who will react to your boundaries are the people that will benefit from your boundary. Prof gave an imagery I will want to recall. She said setting boundary is like building walls where my individuality ends and where yours begin. It's very important to build boundaries. In 2026, you need to learn this art of building boundaries for more productivity. Prof, we want to look at a few things. Emotional manipulation, family pressure. A lot of self-help books will tell you that give more than your best. Go beyond what your strength can afford. At what point should I say, no, this is becoming a workplace exploitation? I mean, I believe in giving 120%. But at what point is this known as workplace manipulation? Let's go deeper into setting boundaries in the workplace, and then probably you can go over even in friendships, how to set boundaries, and even in the home.
So there's always a balance between support and expectation. In many workplaces, I think what we lack is they don't give you enough support, and yet they expect you to provide. If you don't give me the tools to work with, how do you expect me to work? And so I encourage clients to have conversations with their bosses and say, hey, these are my expectations, or these are what you expect me to do. Everybody has a job description. I would love to work. I need this to be able to do this work effectively. Bosses will sometimes come back, you're just being lazy, you're giving excuses. The one before you was doing it. It's like, yeah, but I'm me. And that's always hard, because in Ghana, we equate boundaries with respect and disrespect. And so if you say something, I go like, I can do this, but I cannot do this. They say, she's so disrespectful. They're the ones who say they need a job, and when we give them a job, they don't do it. And that is abusive, because that's exploitation. So I believe in, at the beginning of the week, let's find out what are you expecting me to achieve. Okay, then I can break it down day by day. This I can do comfortably. This one, I will need you to give me this. And so I again encourage people, send emails. Learn to document these things, because we have ways of, if you're an internal processor, it means you think a lot in your head before you can speak one. Some people are external processors, so they talk fast, and that's very overwhelming. And their talking makes you feel like I'm not doing anything, and that's not healthy. That invariably leads into burnout. And so I think we have to learn to speak up for ourselves and not do or I'm afraid of being victimized. You are actually victimizing yourself if you don't speak up. So make a list of, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. How do you want us to achieve this? And then when you write those out, just 1 or 2 every day, do it really well. There are some people too who just keep pushing things, and it's like, okay, I realize you find this very important. However, we wrote this. Let me finish with this. Otherwise, I feel overwhelmed. We can do the same thing in friendships and in homes. Because I come in and I say, I want you to wash the dishes and then do this and do this. I have no problem saying, I want to do all that. But take your time. Can I achieve just that one today, because I have other things I need to do? So that separation of, this is where you end and this is where I begin. It's just assertiveness.
I love that word. I was going to ask you, you have been saying through our conversation that in our culture, we equate boundaries with disrespect. We equate confidence with pride. There is this psychological term, assertiveness. I will want you to do a little psychoeducation. How do we become assertive without looking disrespectful and proud? Because my understanding is that once you have the skill of assertiveness, you can effectively build boundaries. So assertiveness.
Assertiveness is speaking the truth in a respectful but firm way. And so it really happens a lot in marriages. When a man is saying, and I want you to do this, we teach the woman to say, hey, I am getting flooded. It means your words are coming at me like bombs. So can I disengage for 2 hours and then I'll come back? So you give the person a timeline. Because for people who talk plenty, it's possible in their childhood something happened. And a lot of these things are trauma symptoms. So something happened that makes them want to cling so much. And so when you step away, they see it as, you are rejecting me. So give them a timeline. You want me to do something, like, okay, I can do this, but not yet. Give me 3 hours. It's very, very important to put the timeline there. Or when somebody is talking, it's like, hey, I don't mean to cut you, but I'm feeling some way. Let me step away for 30 minutes and I'll come back to engage. It also allows the one who is talking plenty to pause. Because sometimes the talking plenty puts us in sin. And so that becomes very necessary. We are gradually teaching our teachers that they should pause and allow the students to also speak up. Because you come, you accuse. The student is feeling like, oh, it's not true, but I can't speak up. And so we shove it down them, and that's what leads our children into relationships that are abusive. Because they go and somebody is abusing them, but you have taught them from either the home or the school to shut up. And so they go out and anybody can do anything. People complain that Ghanaian students are timid when they go outside to developed countries. But we are smart. But our system doesn't allow us to grow well because they always want to shut us down. Maybe because it allows the adults to feel comfortable. But growth comes with discomfort. And so we have to learn to be okay with allowing people to speak up.
Wow. All too soon, our time is up. Prof. Hannah Akwe, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for blessing our people. Let me say this to you in conclusion. Setting boundaries is not rejection. Setting boundaries is not because you don't want people, and it is not because you are proud, and it is not because you are insensitive, but it is just because I need myself. I need my individual self to function well in the community. When I do well, my marriage will thrive. When I take care of myself, my friendship will excel. When I am able to set good boundaries, I will be more productive in the workplace. So 2026, learn to set boundaries, and especially be assertive. Respectfully and lovingly speak up, express yourself, and say no when you have to say it. I am praying for you that this will be a unique and a different year. In Jesus' name, amen. See you next week. Bye for now.
Of the Lilongwe CBD in Malawi is a group of amazing restaurants and places to eat, work and play. It's known as Kitcheni Hub, and we'll explore this vibey space in a bit. But first, here's what we've got for you in the show today. Fashion inspiration from designer Christopher Akpu on the energetic streets of Ghana. We catch up with Armand Ndengenda, a passionate classical music composer who left aviation to set up an orchestra. And we find out how Paul Sigunkla became the first black owner of a wine farm in South Africa. I'm Cynthia Zondezulu and you're watching Afrimax. Many assume that African cities are chaotic, overcrowded and gritty. But is that really the case? Take Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, which has earned its title of Africa's cleanest city. And it's a whole different picture.
Common prejudices about big African cities are they are loud, overcrowded, and above all, they are drowning in filth. Is that true? And how has Kigali, the Rwandan capital, established itself as the cleanest city in Africa?
I wake up at 4 a.m. and come here always. I start my work by 6. My name is Niramai Ambara Zahara. I work as a cleaner in the city of Kigali. Kigali is very clean. All is good. I'm very proud of it.
The collective effort to maintain cleanliness in Kigali has a significant socio-economic dimension. All these women on different streets are grouped into private cooperatives. This may help Kigali's reputation as the cleanest city in Africa, but does it also help the cleaners getting a stable income to support their families?
Having this job gives me credibility. As a worker, I can borrow some money. People trust me. They can lend me money so that I feed my kids, and I pay them back when I am paid.
After the genocide of the Tutsis in 1994, the Rwandan government, in an effort to rebuild the country from the ground up, took various measures to ensure not only the cleanliness of the city, but also environmental protection. Was it worth banning plastic bags and educating citizens about the need for cleanliness?
Yes, it has helped very much. Before, citizens didn't understand why they would pay anyone to take care of their garbage. They believed that instead of paying for cleaning service, they would simply take the garbage out of their houses and dump them in the trenches, on streets.
Unlikely as it may seem when observing many African cities, Kigali stands apart in cleanliness. Many cities on the continent grapple with waste management challenges. How has Rwanda's capital distinguished itself, setting a benchmark in urban cleanliness that few have met until today?
Umuganda has played a huge role in cleaning Kigali city in more depth. This is one of the major benefits of Umuganda.
Can you imagine a day when the people collectively come together to take care of the cleanliness of public spaces for the common good? Well, in Rwanda such a day exists. It's Umuganda Day. The last Saturday of each month, the nation pauses for 3 hours. Shops shut down. Police oversee the closure of roads, and personal business gives way to communal duty.
We do Umuganda to clean up our neighborhoods. Also, getting rid of the bushes helps us fighting against the mosquitoes that spread malaria. And also, it makes our homes look smart.
But Umuganda is about more than cleaning. It's about solidarity and community. The project has brought the residents together, and they are now discussing their problems and setting common goals. I hope you all know the importance of trees. They provide oxygen. Without them, we won't have air quality. Therefore, we need to protect them and plant more even. Is that clear? Kigali's rise to become the cleanest city in Africa is no coincidence. It is the result of a joint and continuous effort by the communities. Government policies, such as the ban on plastic bags, provide the legal framework, while citizen engagement, embodied by the spirit of Umuganda, brings these policies to life.
What a beautiful city, and indeed breaking stereotypes. Most restaurants in Lilongwe, Malawi are in homes or converted homes. But Thokozani Kaunda is a man with vision. He saw a gap in the market and grabbed it to create this unique space. How did you come up with the idea for Kitchen Hub Lilongwe?
I came over and I saw this space being city center, and I thought we are missing a space where the white collar, blue collar can just come and relax. Right now, because it's city center and being a hub of basically the city, we thought let's just be blatant about it and call it Kitchen Hub.
What were your creative thoughts behind the visual design?
We came up and we said, okay, let us create something that hides us from the city. So that's where the hedging came, right? So if you walk in, actually you get surprised when you walk in. You don't realize how spacious and how calming the space is from the outside. So that was the first element, and then inside we felt it is much easier and to work with things that have some people throw away. So all the offcuts from my other projects, I brought them in and said, okay, let's just do as barriers.
No, thank you very much, Thokozani. We'll catch up with you again a little bit later.
Thank you very much.
From Lilongwe to Ghana, Christopher Agbu, founder of Subway, draws inspiration from the streets of Accra, Ghana. His designs reflect the city's energy, blending urban culture with sustainable materials, creating unique, ever-evolving styles.
How is everyday life reflected in streetwear fashion in Ghana? Let's explore how Christopher Agbu, a local creator, gets inspired by the energy of the street and the environment around him into making statements of style with his clothes.
My parents and the environment influenced me a lot to become a creative now, because Growing up, my mom was a tailor. She used to sew for schools. My dad also used to trade with traditional homes to sell chief regalias for chiefs, and I used to go to these festivals and visit these chiefs with him. Our church was very brutalist jungle, like uncompleted. We had to be there, and my whole environment, there was not a lot to play around with.
Christopher began his journey in streetwear fashion in 2018 and is now working on his 4th collection. But what drove him to choose a career as a streetwear fashion designer?
The way I communicate the clothes and my choice of models, now I wouldn't classify the brand as a streetwear but a ready-to-wear brand. My journey into fashion began during high school. We used to go to streetwear parties, art shows, and a whole lot of things. I used to have a group of friends who dance in high school, so that was how my love for fashion grew up. I had to just expand it more as a business in general.
Streetwear fashion emerged in Ghana in the 1980s, significantly influenced by the global rise of hip-hop culture. Today, streetwear in Ghana is particularly popular among youth and urban populations, representing a fusion of local culture and global fashion trends. But how does Christopher's brand manage to strike a chord with young Ghanaians?
My creative process for Earth in particular started from researching to sketching to brainstorming on how to find good quality fabrics. After making samples with our tailor, I bring them to the studio to actually try them on somebody, because we always make samples according to our model sizing. Sometimes we don't find large quantity of fabric with that piece, so we have to make just a few exclusively for our audience. The end of the process with releasing our collection, we shoot the lookbook, we shoot e-comments for our website, the looks from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. That is what we are going to use to market or to actually broadcast the collection to our audience.
Christopher is on a journey to launch his new collection themed Earth, accompanied by a lookbook. But what elements from his environment inspired him this time?
I have different tailors with specialized designs that they are really good at, so I know what to take to who. I mostly just move to one store to another to find what exactly fits into the aesthetic of the collection or what piece I'm trying to produce. The unique thing about our Round Earth collection is mainly the cuts, the shapes, the color palettes of the pieces. So I paid attention to these things more than the graphics or the logos.
With a touch of Ghanaian culture, Christopher has celebrated clients like Jones, Koje Radical, Gabriel Moses, among others. And what really motivates him to continue creating and innovating in the fashion industry?
I want to keep telling stories that I found around my community. People are really looking to Africa to buy or to invest or to encourage brands here. So my motivation to keep creating collections from time to time is because of me collaborating with these artisans or these creatives in my community to keep empowering them and also improving the awareness for local craftsmanship.
From the bustling streets of Accra to the creative studios of Christopher, we've seen how local stories, culture, and global influences come together to create a unique fashion sense.
I need to get some of these designs to rock here in Malawi. They say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We're still with Togozani to find out more about Kichini Habu. How about you show me some of the eateries and the variety of foods and drinks that you can have here?
Sure. What do we start with?
You tell me.
Follow me, please.
Okay.
So, basically, being a city,
right?
We thought early start, coffee.
Coffee.
We created a spacious our coffee hub. Lunch, we've got 3 menus. We've got our Thai menu, we've got our Cosmo menu, and then we've got our vegetarian. We've got a bar, 2 bars, 1 bar and 1 bar at the back for the events. So essentially, this is what you get at the hub.
This is absolutely Insta-worthy. Thokozani, thank you so much for showing us around Kichini Hub.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.
Next up, we meet Armand Dengenda, also known as Africa's Beethoven. It's his mission to turn ordinary DRC citizens into classical musical stars. So, let's meet the maestro.
From pilot to high flyer in classical music, this Congolese is a true pioneer. Let's find out what makes Armand Dengenda the African Beethoven.
The inspiration came from my father. One day, I played him a piece that we had recorded. He told me, "Listen, my son, I would like you to welcome people from other choirs of musical groups in the church and allow them to join you as well."
30 years later, his orchestra Symphony Kimbangist is still the only one in the Democratic Republic of Congo. What is it really like to learn and play classical music here in Kinshasa? Many people in Kinshasa face hard economic times, including members of Armand's orchestra. Being part of the orchestra has hardly saved them from economic difficulties. On the contrary, being a musician in the DRC presents very special challenges.
When we get to play somewhere we earn something, the money is not meant to go into our pockets, but it is used to help those who are going through challenges. There might be a musician who is sick and needs money to go to the hospital, and another one might need to get married and needs our support. We might also need to buy instruments. That money always ends up meeting the needs of our community and not putting it in our pockets.
As everyday life can be tricky in the DRC, Congolese are pretty good in improvising. They make do with what they have, and this counts also for musicians. Improvising is key. But what happens when you're not able to find playable instruments?
A lot of the instruments we initially used were ones we sourced locally. There were people who received instruments as gifts from expatriates. For example, someone who had lived here for a long time but was now leaving. So we would later learn that this person was working with an expatriate who gave him a violin as a gift. We would go up and down, and we also had to find scores. That was indeed the primary obstacle. We even had fun replicating a trumpet because we were looking for a trumpet in the key we wanted.
We had a challenge gathering the tools. We started fixing handles and other instruments such as guitars, violins, double basses and other repairable instruments.
Na réparation ya instrument mususu tel que guitare, violon na biso uza nango, contrebasse, cello, oyo eza réparable to réparaki.
But to make instruments from scratch, we need more tools, which now we have. So we are in the process of starting to make our own instruments.
Amid the turmoil and difficulties of everyday existence, the world's first all-black symphony orchestra shines brightly, providing hope to many. Many of its members are self-taught musicians. Do they enjoy coming for rehearsals every time?
It's a privilege for me. It's not given to everyone. In fact, to be part of a symphonic orchestra throughout the world People go through tests, go through competitions, through a lot of work. But for me, I can say it was easy. They just registered me, and today I am part of a big symphonic orchestra in Central Africa. For me, it's a privilege, it's an honor.
After months of practice and passion for music, this orchestra is ready. While most of DRC's news that reached the West is negative, the African Beethoven and his orchestra are here to prove naysayers wrong, and they are up to their next objective: to construct a Congolese conservatory.
Music to my ears all the way from the DRC. From classical music to another classic, wine. Paul Sigutla is making history as the first black owner of a wine farm in Franschhoek, paving the way for change in South Africa's wine industry. Enjoy.
Every vineyard tells a story. How did the son of a former wine farm laborer eventually become the first black South African to own a wine farm?
I was raised on a farm not far from here, about 17 kilometers. And at the time, the narrative of farm workers' children being the next generation of farm workers was very much prevalent. And for a very long time, I wanted to get as far away from the farm until I did a holiday stint in a cellar, and later on in a tasting room. My perspective of wine changed, and at that moment I wanted to become part of the wine industry.
This beautiful wine farm in Franschhoek, Cape Town didn't always look like this. When Paul first bought it, it was badly dilapidated, but after saving for 15 years, it was all he could afford. Meet Paul Sigutla, the first black wine farm owner in South Africa.
The biggest barrier to black people accessing the wine industry is access to land and access to capital. The moment we crossed that barrier, it was now, the next barrier was that we are new as first generation farm owners. What quality, what kind of product are we going to put onto the market? And from the word go, we said that we're going to do high-end quality wines.
The transformation of this farm was just as intense of a process as pressing the grapes to make wine. But before we find out what wine production entails, let's start with what it took to get this farm up from scratch.
It was in the market for more than 8 years and nobody would buy it. There was disease on the vines, which I saw firsthand. The first thing I saw when I got here was that